This is the instructions for the white powder lab. What substance has been used to contaminate the sugar bowl? This draws on all of the stuff that we learned about chemical reactions and physical properties and chemical properties, and trying to identify and match up substances. So you learned that every different type of substance has a unique set of physical properties and chemical properties. They each have their own melting points, boiling points. Some are magnetic, some are not. Some will dissolve in water, some will dissolve in metho, some will dissolve in acetone. Some won't dissolve at all in any of those and needs an oil base to dissolve in. Some of them will react with acids, some of them won't. All of these are unique chemical and physical properties that help us to identify a substance. So a substance has been added to the teacher's sugar bowl to get back at a teacher. And that substance, we've gone around, we found it's a white powder, and we've collected all of the white powders that we could find in the school, and we're going to be testing that unknown substance, and we're going to have those same tests applied to all of the white powders we've found to try and match it up. So if it is the same substance, then it should have the same physical and chemical properties. So here we go. First of all, warning. This is exactly the same procedure as outlined on the instruction sheet that you're going to get with the prac. So if you're in doubt, read the instructions. They are very clear and they follow the exact same procedure that I'm doing here. So first of all, you need to set up your workspace. You have been given a little tick and flick sheet here where you're going to be recording all of the properties for your test. I'm just showing you one little part of it here. And on that tick and flick sheet, you've got the different white powders that we found around the school. And down here, we've got listed the unknown. You need to then set out those powders on your surface here in the same order so that you're testing them in the same order. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's really important that you get this. Note how we've got our spatulas here. They too have been numbered. I'm going to zoom in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's really important that you keep those numbers in the right place and you only use number 6 with number 6, number 5 with number 5. Otherwise, if you use a dirty spatula and put it into one of the other containers, you'll actually contaminate it. So make sure when you're testing that you only use the correct spatulas each time, otherwise you'll not only ruin your prac but everyone else's because you'll contaminate the whole batch. Very, very important you do that. So the first step is this. You need to add about a quarter, and I do mean a quarter, don't go overboard here, a quarter of a spatula of every substance to the corresponding test tube. So this is about all you need. That first one there is baking soda. And here's me adding the second one here to test 2, which is corn flour. Note just a quarter of a spatula for each of them into the bottom of the test tubes. Next, check to see if it's magnetic. All you have to do is put the magnetic alongside the test tube. If it's magnetic, it will actually be pulled towards the magnet. Make sure that you record your observations down in the tick and flick sheet. So check each one of those powders before you move on. After you've done that, you need to see if it's going to dissolve in water. So you need to add about 2 centimeters. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but no more than, say, this level here, to each test tube, and you can pull it out and gently flick it around. Do not put your thumb on top of it and shake it. If you do that, anything that's on your finger will actually contaminate it. Just very gently flick it and see if it dissolves, even partially, and record that down. Next, whether it's dissolved or not, you then need to test the pH. You have to grab out one of the pH test papers. Now, don't tip them all out on the desk. If they get any liquid on them, you ruin them. So one at a time, pull out a clean piece of paper with your tweezers like this. And you've got long tweezers for a reason. You very gently dip it into the bottom of the test tube without dropping the paper. It's hard to get out if you drop it. And then quickly pull it back out so that you can see what color it changes. If you drop the paper in your solution, you'll ruin the solution and you'll have to start again. So make sure you just dip it in, dip it out quite quickly. And once you do that, you use the color and the little color chart on the side of your container here to see what pH the solution is. This one here is dark green. It's pretty much equal with a 7, so you'd record that then down on your sheet, and do that for every single one of your test powders. Make sure that you dispose of any rubbish into your waste container, please. And that container has to be cleaned at the end of your prac, so any mess you make, you need to put it in there and clean it up. Next, add 2 drops of iodine to each test tube. This is to see if it reacts with iodine. Iodine turns black in the presence of starch. If it stays brown, then no reaction has occurred. If it turns black, then it has starch in there. So this one here has not changed color, it's just brown. It would turn dead black if starch was in there. Record that down. Next, you have to rinse every single one of your test tubes out in your little container here thoroughly. So rinse it out at least twice to make sure it's completely clean and tip it into your waste container. Okay. Now you're going to see if any of the substances react with acid. Into each one of your test tubes, I want you to put about the same amount, 2 centimeters of vinegar in each one of your test tubes. Once you've done that, one by one, you're going to take another quarter spatula and put it in each one of the test tubes one at a time. See if it dissolves, see if there's evidence of a chemical reaction, and record your observations. So if I drop this one in here, I'll see if it dissolves. I'll try and find if there's any evidence of a chemical reaction. Now I'm just going to remind you what a chemical reaction looks like, the signs. Oops, wrong one, just a minute. There. Color change, permanent. Gas released, i.e. bubbling. Energy released, it gets warmer. Energy absorbed, it gets colder. Or a precipitate produced, so you've produced a solid where you didn't have a solid before. Any of those are signs of a chemical reaction. Make sure you note that down on your observation sheet. Last but not least, every single one of your test tubes have to be thoroughly cleaned out so that they are absolutely clean for the next person to come along with. You put any wastewater into your containers and make sure that it's set up exactly the same as it was before when you started for the next lot of students to come in. Okay guys, you now have to do any questions on that to prove that you've actually gone and listened to this video properly and you know what you're going to be doing before you'll be allowed to go in and complete the practical.